All right, so today we're gonna do a quick review and then we're gonna get into tracking tacticals, okay? Some of the basic pieces of information you need to know to track accurately. But before we get into that, we're gonna start with remembering that fat loss is all about physics, first and foremost, okay? Fat on your body this is the fat molecule on the body. 55 carbon, 104 hydrogen, 6 oxygen, okay? How does it leave our body? We breathe out most of it, okay? So when you have the fat molecule, and you have the oxygen molecule, 78 oxygen, as all the process, we don't need to understand all the processes. We just know this can be measured and weighed. When you breathe out carbon dioxide and water, okay, that's where most of the fat, how it leaves. You breathe it out, okay? A little bit through, other processes, but primarily where it's breathed out. Remember, 1 pound of fat on your body contains 3,500 calories. So if we want to lose 1 pound, we need to use up 3,500 calories more than we're taking in, okay? On average, we can lose 2 to 4 ounces per day, okay? 2 to 4 ounces per day, that's 60 to 120 grams, okay? So, like I said, review is very important. Okay, well, maybe I should separate these out a little bit, but remember, this is the Peaceful Abs project. This is not the frantic, I'm trying to do more and do crazy abs project, because that doesn't last, okay? Peaceful Abs project, simplicity, enjoyment, and ability to adapt to every situation, okay? Now, remember, decreasing fat is about decreasing calories, increasing activities, and increasing enjoyment, okay? So do not forget what the foundation is. Before you think about, oh, I'm gonna add this, I'm gonna add that. Remember, am I doing this? Because if you're not doing this, you're putting the cart before the horse, and you're wasting resources, time, energy, and money. Okay, because this right here is what's gonna give you all of your fat loss. Anything else is so minuscule, it's not even moving the needle. So we don't want to pay attention to any of that. A reminder that the nutrition protocol, right, where we want to stick to phase 1, which is single ingredient foods, boxed or packaged foods, so that you can make your own quadrant 1 foods. Quadrant 1, high enjoyment, low calorie density. That's where effortless fat loss happens. One of our big frameworks is the 7P framework. Planning produces peace. Prioritizing protein produces possibilities. When I think about how I'm going to go about something, even if it's 10 seconds, I am now producing peace. So when I get into that situation, I'm not going to be blindsided. It's not going to be some surprise thing. I know I'm going to dinner at this place. This is the menu. This is what I'm going to order. I'm going to plan accordingly throughout the day, so I have a lot of calories left over. Prioritizing protein produces possibilities. So when you make sure you get your protein, now you have more wiggle room. Now you have more free calories for fun stuff, right? We want to focus on, we should already, most of us are already starting to build our keystone foods. We should have 3 or 4 go-to keystone foods, okay? Finally, before we get into today's lesson, you are learning a skill. Skills take repetition, time, so remember to relax, breathe, and be patient, okay? Now, if we remember, there's 4 categories: carbs, fat, protein, alcohol, and they have different calories per gram. 4 calories in a carb, 9 in a fat, 4 in a protein, 7 in alcohol, right? This is very important information. Let's get into today's lesson now, okay? So, tracking tacticals, okay? there's some basic things that we need to know about, and we're actually going to use the scale to go over a few of these things, okay? But real quick, remember, we already covered this. Fat on your body is C55, H1O4, 6 oxygen. Fat loss is basically more atoms out than atoms coming in. So this is your calories used per day, and this is your food and drink calories coming in. That's it. And those are all food and drink is all atoms, right? Now, a very important piece of information, 1 ounce is 28 grams. You should know this piece of information. It will make life a lot easier. We want to weigh everything for most precision, okay? So this is why this comes in so handy. We don't want to use volume measurement, so like cups, half cups, whatever, because, you know, it's very easy to, like, let's say this was a cup and I'm measuring rice, okay? Well, I can fit 400 grams of rice into this and stuff it down and then fit another 100 gram. So I'm not really knowing how much is in here. Versus if I do it by weight, I will always know how much I am actually weighing and tracking, okay? So that's why we don't want to use volume measurements. We want to track almost everything by grams, okay? And so like a personal habit of mine is I weigh or I track meats like chicken, steak, fish. I track it by ounces, mainly because that's what I did first, and it's most comfortable for me. And you know, like if I'm going out or whatever, most places nobody's tracking meat by grams, they're tracking by ounces. So for that, I just kind of leave it in ounces. You can track it in grams, especially if you've never tracked it before. You don't have that, you know, there's no learning curve as far as it would be the same, right? So like that's up to you. I personally track meats in ounces and everything else in grams. Next thing, we are going to learn patterns. You're going to start to see patterns, okay? You're going to notice that most cheese is 28 grams per serving size. These are the things that I want you to pay attention to. Like next time you're at the grocery store, look at the bread section and look at how much a slice of bread is generally. You're going to find out that almost all slices of bread are right around 120-ish calories. I would say that's like the middle ground. But you can have a variance of about, you know, the lowest calorie slice of bread I've seen is like 40 calories all the way up to like 210 calories. But safe to say that once you see enough breads, you'll be able to say, oh, that's about 150 calories and you're safe. Same thing goes with like food like roti, tortillas. You're going to start to see these patterns. And so it's going to make it easy for you to then get into phase 3, right? Which is the fancy stuff, being able to track anything at any time and lose weight in any situation. But this comes from the pattern recognition. This is the same in any skill. The more patterns I recognize, the better I get at the skill, right? Lastly, so this is something, you know, to address kind of the thing of like, oh, well, it takes so much time, blah, blah, blah. Well, just remember this. Bowl on the counter is the same as a bowl on the scale. So we're going to get into what that kind of means, but long story short, if I'm going to pour myself some cereal and obviously the bowl is going to be on the counter, it would be no different and no more time if I had the bowl on the scale. So there is no reason to not weigh things, okay? And then take the 10 seconds to put it into macro factor. So now, next part, this is going to be pretty quick. We're going to measure a few things and I'm going to show you a few basic skills that you will use like all the time when you're tracking and weighing things. All right, so here are some of the fundamentals of weighing, and there's two primary weighing methods. The first one is going to be bag on the scale, all right? So what this allows me to do, and this is actually very useful for like sauces and like I use this with butter as well. So like here you can see it's 368, but I'm gonna zero it, right? So now, actually, we can take the cap off first. And we zero it. Now, what we're going to do is, if I had my, whatever my dish was, I take this and I pour out however much I need. Okay. And I place that back on, and it says minus 12, minus 13. So that means the amount that is no longer, or that is on my plate that's no longer in here, is 13 grams. This is a great way and really fast way, because as you can see here, our serving size is 36 grams. Okay. So what I would do is I would keep squirting it out until I hit 36 grams, or I would just pour out however much I want and then see what it says, right? This is the same way, and you could do it reverse. I just find this is you should know both ways. So the other way to do it is, let's say if you had your plate there, obviously you zero it out, and then you pour it on there. Okay, there you go, 11 grams. So both ways are good, and both ways are, you should know how to do both, okay? And then, so the same thing goes with, let's say I'm going to make a quesadilla and I want the cheese ready to go. So I like to put about 70 to 90 grams, okay? Just for the purposes of demonstrating. I'm not going to put a whole serving because I don't want to waste it. So in this case, I would just take out however much I want, put it on my plate or whatever, and you see that it says minus 4. That means I have 4 grams of cheese on my plate. And again, you could do it the other way. I just find that this is a lot faster and easier in a lot of different situations, right? Because then I don't have to put my entire tortilla or my bowl or whatever on the scale. I just take whatever ingredient that I need, and then the minus tells me how much I've used, okay? Next, again, you have your 2 methods, right? For foods like chips, my recommendation is, if you can, get single serving sizes, because I know if I eat this bag, it's 50 calories, okay? So I don't need to do anything other than scan the barcode. Now, let's say if you have something like this, which I highly recommend, air fried jalapeno chips, they don't have single serving size for this, but I can see here that one serving size is about 28 grams. And here's what I was talking about earlier. Serving size is 1 ounce, 28 grams. Very valuable to know this, okay? And so you'll notice that a lot of chip, a lot of different things, the standard serving size is 1 ounce. Even if we go back to this cheese right here, 28 grams, 1 ounce, right? So same thing, if I wanted to, what you could do with something like this is you could take little Ziploc bags, or even in a bowl. Always remember to zero out. And you just put however much you want. And now you know that when I go to scan this bag, okay, I got 4 grams here. So I'm going to put 4 grams in my entry in macro factor, okay? And so that's how you kind of do that. Similarly to this, which is single serving, stuff like this, right? These Oreo thins, you don't need to do that because they're already measured out. So again, what do we got here? One serving size, 29 grams. What a coincidence. But you can see that a serving size is 4 cookies. So I literally don't need to do anything. I can take my 4 cookies, okay, scan my barcode, and enter 1 serving size, 4 cookies. Or maybe I realize I only have enough for 3 cookies, enough calories for 3 cookies, and then I just enter 3 cookies, right? Again, similarly, stuff like this. This is great. Amazing macros on this. 13 protein, 3 fat, obviously no carbs. And look, 68 grams. So this is, now I know, like 28 grams is 1 ounce. This is about 2 ounces per sausage. But anyways, I don't need to measure this because the serving size is one link. So I could just take one link, I know how much it is, I scan the barcode, I'm done. Same goes with tortillas, right? One tortilla is 130 calories, bada boom, bada bang, all right? Last little piece on this is, you know, if you're gonna use, you don't need to use non-stick, but you can. Butter. I want to use some butter on my pan. What I do is I put the stick of butter on here. I would then go and I have my hot pan or whatever, or my skillet, rub this on there, put this back, and it'll again say a negative number, so I know exactly how many grams I've used. What you're going to find is that you actually don't need a ton of butter to get on the pan. So like a lot of people, because they're not measuring, they end up using a ton of butter, right? So he was talking about patterns earlier. So like you'll notice that for fats, so that means oils, rich sauces like mayo, butters, you'll notice that the serving size is almost always going to be 14 grams and the fat content is almost always going to be between 11 and 15, right? So you'll start to learn these. So then you know, like if you're out somewhere and they put butter on whatever, you know, okay, you have a really good idea of how much you're going to need. So that's it. Those are pretty much the fundamentals of how to weigh and track foods. And like I said earlier, you don't want to use volume measurements such as like cups and half cups, because you can cram way more weight into that volume and end up not knowing how much you're actually eating. So I'll see you tomorrow in the next lesson. Really take a second to go through this video, write down some notes, because we covered last week's review, and then this piece is going to be the game. This is one of the biggest skills that will make fat loss easy for you. And as you can see, like once you start to get the hang of it, this doesn't take any time. Like bowl on the counter versus bowl on the scale, right? It's the same thing, except with one, you can reliably lose as much fat as you want.